Welcome back to Blacksheep Barbell Podcast. Today we have Drew Sweany on the show. He's actually an old teacher of mine from high school. He used to be a competitive powerlifter between 2013 and 2020. He's hit some insane lifts. He had an 805 squat, a 457 bench, and a 705 deadlift. He mostly teaches weight training classes now in health, and he's also the varsity defensive coordinator for the football team. Welcome to the show, Drew Sweany. I think I was the only senior in your health class, in the 9th grade health class.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes that class slips through the cracks, and then, people are getting prepared junior, senior year, and counselor's like, hey, you forgot this credit.
I know. I was like, why? Why was I never taking this? I don't understand. So,
yeah.
I wanted to get into kind of your background of powerlifting, which I didn't know at the time when I went to the school that you did it. I just knew you worked out a lot because you talked about it. But what kind of like drew you into like competitive powerlifting?
So I guess I'll start like right at the beginning. So, I went to Wyandotte schools, and in middle school, they actually had a weight room in the Wyandotte middle school. So,
oh, nice.
I started lifting twice a week in my phys ed class. It was like Tuesday, Thursday. We would go in, start lifting, and I was just naturally strong. I mean, it was like 8th grade year. I was hitting a couple reps on the bench with 185. Got into like 9th grade year and my sophomore year. It was like 225 reps and all the way through. So it just kind of natural genetics kind of brought me into the strength world. And then as I went through school, and obviously I was mainly just training for sports. And I was just training for football, and it was just our basic, bigger, faster, stronger program. I think everyone was doing that back then. And then graduated, went to college, kind of continued on. By then, it was just part of my life. Went through college. I did more of a bodybuilding style in college, and then came back, and I was at Brownstown Powerhouse back when that was open. Now I think it's the Tittle Construction. It's right there on Sibley and Allen. That used to be Brownstown Powerhouse. And that was a great gym. That was actually the gym that when the WWF guys would come in town, they would all bus into there. And you'd see a bunch of those like big time guys walking. Like, I was in there one time and the Big Show was roaming around there.
So, that's awesome.
And I was just in there deadlifting one day. And I think I had like 550 on the bar or something, and pulled it off the ground fairly easily. And this guy kind of, he walked over and he's like, hey, man, he's like, have you ever competed? And I'm like, no, like it wasn't even on my radar, really. It wasn't even anything. Back then, the sport wasn't even really that big. He's like, you should try it sometimes. You can win some medals. And I was like, all right. And I was like, it's kind of one of those things where it was like, it was flattering, but it was like, all right, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Well, come to find out, that guy was Paul Urchik. And, Paul was a big time power lifter. He was back and competing with like Eddie Cohn and those guys back in those days, And so I ended up linking up with this guy. His name was Sherwood Harris. He's a little bit younger than me. Started lifting, started doing the training. Big story behind that, but it's kind of pointless. So, and then got to my first meet, and we went on the west side of the state for it, actually. And it went well. I think my first meet, it was like a 15-10 total raw, like no wraps, no sleeves, nothing. And I just got the bug. Like I met some people through it. I probably met like 6 guys out there, and you just like, you like embrace this community, Yeah. And, as I went through, I just kept competing, and then I got linked up with Detroit Barbell for a little bit. And then I got with a crew, with Kevin Smith, and powerlifting. The crews are kind of interesting. I don't know if you've heard a lot about this, through interviews and stuff like that, but the crews, it's like a mini cult. You know what I mean? Like, you have to like break into this barrier to be part of a crew, and it got to the point where I was like, all right, I need to take that next step. So I went to Detroit Barbell, and I was like looking around, and that was the crew to be in. Like at the time, for a raw powerlifting, there was a bunch of guys who were really good equipped, but raw powerlifting, that was the group to be in. So kind of started speaking to Kevin. His name's Kevin Smith, and he's been around forever. He's still doing it. And kind of got linked up with that group, and then we kind of were there a few months, and then he's like, hey, I'm thinking about opening this garage gym. And his garage is like a 2-car, no insulation. The floors are kind of uneven at the time. And we had like this Texas barbell, like hand swing monolift rack.
Oh, really?
We had a deadlift platform, and I think that was it. Like we didn't have much at all. And that's where he started, though. And we had a crew of like 6 that went in there, and we got strong. Like, it was just one of those,
Yeah.
like, you didn't need much. And then over time, he started building it up. And then he was like, all right, I want you guys to know I'm building a new garage. Literally tore that garage down, built a new garage. So now we had, and then, you know, obviously he had a name for it. He named it Odd Lifts. And he went and named it Odd Lifts 2.0. And then, you know, we competed over time. And, you know, I think I did it for probably 8 years, you know, and then, yeah, it was about 2013 to about 2021, you know, and that's where.
Oh, nice.
And I stayed with that crew for, you know, 6 or 7 of those years, probably 6 of those years. And, you know, we traveled, had a lot of good memories, and a couple things that kind of just bypassed at the same time that made me step away from it. You know, COVID being one of them, that kind of came through, and started coaching the 2 varsity sports. And then I got moved to a coordinator for football, which being a coordinator in football is a lot more complicated than just being a position coach. You know, like position coach, you're like, all right, this is what you're doing. You do your drills, and then you watch your people. Now I'm kind of looking at the big picture of everything. So that all happened. The December before my last meet, which was in March, found out we were having my son. And then, you know, an unfortunate circumstance, about 6 months after that, my mom passed. So there was like, it was just kind of one of those, like, I hate saying perfect storms, but it was like all these things kind of came up at once. And it was just the point where it was like, all right, like something's got to go. And that was kind of the thing, unfortunately, that, you know, at the time was the thing that had to go. And it was, I was, you know, I was mid-30s. So I was getting to the point where I was in that sport, you know, you're getting a little bit older, you know, but, you know, I had a good career. I had a great time with it. Traveled, you know, we went to all meets in Ohio. We went out to, we did a meet at Atlantic City, which was awesome.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah, it's cool that you say, like, you started, you know, in your garage gym or your friend's garage gym, because that's kind of what my co-host, my cousin, we train in his gym all the time. So that's kind of like how we both got into it, and we call his like Blacksheep Garage. Like that's what we run it by. We've been doing that for years. But yeah, it's very similar in that sense. We're mainly focused on like strength training. Sometimes we change it up, but yeah, it seems pretty similar. So
yeah. If you got the crew or you got a good training partner, the garage is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we had
dude.
We had a solid core of like 6 or 7, but then there would be times where we would have 16, 18 people in there. And I mean, the music was pumping, and we were getting after it. It was a lot of fun. So
I don't know if we've had that many people in it, but we've had those gym sessions though, man, where we have a bunch of people over. And there's nothing like it. Like, it's the most memorable gym sessions ever. We hit PRs. We used to have like these big PR parties.
Yep.
It was just awesome. Like my first time, like when I first got into it, you know, hitting like 225 on bench for the first time. Like, that's just like a memorable thing. And I did it on, I think it was like right after Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving night or something. So but yeah, those gym sessions, man, that's where like the memories are, and training with all the other people, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. With that whole, you know, the PR times, like, you know, there's times where you wouldn't be going in to do one, you know, and then you're there and you're kind of going squat for squat. And Kevin and I did that a lot. You know, we would go squat for squat with each other, and then he'd like take a chip shot. And I knew he was going up. I'm like, all right, guess I got to go up. So next thing you know, we're both hitting big PRs. And, and like you said, those are the memories. It's like, man, I didn't really think that was going to happen today, but being a great day. So,
I truly think some of the most PRs I've hit, I don't think I've even planned on it. I'm just like, you know what, I feel good today, I feel ready, and then everybody else is hyping you up, and you're trying to follow the other guy that's lifting with you. So, but yeah, dude, I get that totally, because that's exactly like what we do.
Yeah.
With you, powerlifting and everything, how, like, transitioning to, you know, working with football and the students and everything, how has that kind of helped you, like, transition to that?
So, at first, it was really detrimental, to be honest with you, because I was very one-track focused.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew the big 3, and I knew accessory work, you know? And, you know, my early years coaching, I probably, you know, held some people back for potential because of that. Like, strength was there, but as far as, like, learning how to train like an athlete, you know, I've done that a lot more over my past, you know, 5 or 6 years, I would say.
Okay.
And the one thing that I will say has helped is when you're powerlifting for that long, everything is so meticulous, like every little detail. And again, at first that was detrimental because I'm working with these high school kids who are just all over the place. I mean, they are like, I mean, anything that could go bad was going bad as far as like you or as far as form wise. So me, I'm trying to be like really specific, and then I'm like, all right, I got to take a step back, and then I would go into like, how do I progress into this? Because when I first started, I was just throwing a barbell on their back. I'm like, let's do this. All right, like you just got to squat. It's like sitting on a chair, right? That's not how it works, And so I learned how to really set everything up. I've built introductory programs for the younger groups. I actually have intro programs now in the middle school.
Good.
We have when our weight room got redone a couple of years ago, we sent all that stuff down to the middle school, and it's actually on the middle school stage in the cafeteria.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I didn't know that.
Yep. So one of the phys ed teachers there, he actually runs a strength conditioning class. And
nice.
I gave him the intro stuff. I'm like, listen, man, I'm like, just teach them, hinge, push, pull, and squat.
Yeah.
That's it. Hinge, push, pull, squat. If you can teach them those things when they get to me, it's going to make my life way easier, So, just doing the basics with that, starting with just even the body weight hinge, hands on the hip, hinging, slight bend in the knee, teaching them how to feel their hamstrings and glutes load up, and that's something that even when they come to ninth grade, I review all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And now, I'm to the point where I teach mostly strength conditioning classes. I have a couple of health classes, but the majority of it is I built, I started a class called Sports Tech now, which for all JV varsity athletes or even some freshman athletes who are, exceptional. And, we'll still lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday is full speed training. And then on Thursday, I do what's called like a sports specific day. So they get to come in and they basically create their own practice for whatever sport that they're involved in. And it works out great. Like, I mean, we have the golf sim and everything now. So I have golfers that'll go in there. I have hockey players that'll get out in net and do hockey drills. Track athletes doing, their speed work on the side of the gym. Basketball players doing dribbling and shooting drills. Like it's chaos all at once, but I'm used to it now. But yeah, so over the years, I've gone on obviously a lot of like YouTubes and a lot of reputable people on X is what it's obviously X now.
Yeah.
And I've gone to a couple conferences too where I've just kind of learned, not to overcomplicate it, especially at this age, and to just really teach them how to progress and be patient. Everyone wants to max out every week. I mean, everyone wants to. I feel good. I'm going to max out this week. It's like, no, we were max 2 weeks ago. We hit a max 2 weeks ago. So I'm very fortunate. I have a couple of friends that are in the strength field at high levels. I have a girl I went to high school with married a guy who was the strength coach at Eastern, and now he's an assistant strength coach at Notre Dame. One buddy's out at San Diego State now. He was at Syracuse at the time. So I got a couple guys that I can, reference to if needed. And I have in the past on a couple things here and there, just polishing it up when I get things organized. But
it is important, especially for high schoolers and middle schoolers, to learn, how to lift like properly, especially with strength training and stuff. And I'm glad that, Carlson's doing that because I don't think a lot of schools have that. And I think a lot of people just go into it not knowing a lot. And you have to learn on your own, or you have to like gain that interest. Some of those kids may not even know they have an interest in it until they start it. So I think that's great that you guys are doing it. I didn't know you had a golf sim. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like what they say, high schools, they update everything after I leave.
Yep.
I graduated.
Yeah, I know. Everyone, it's like everyone gets a piece of something because like all these ways these bonds go through, and I had someone come through and said the same thing. They were like, we got these black uniforms for football. Like, oh man, you got these after we left. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys got to play on the brand new turf. Or you guys got 2 years with a brand new weight or whatever it is. Like there's always something new that's coming in. And then obviously as a staff, we always try to make sure that there is something new that the kids can remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's always something that's like, hey, yeah, we were the first ones to do that. Or, we tried this out, or we fundraised and got that, or whatever it is, because those are things that's memorable too.
Yeah, exactly. And do the students know too, like about your powerlifting background? And I didn't even know you were doing that in between of teaching when I went there too. But do you know about that?
It's one of those like weird lines that it's like, I don't want to walk in and be like, this is who I used to be. Listen, you know what I mean? It's like, I try to use my knowledge, and I tell them, like, hey, like, if they ask, obviously I'll talk about it, but I usually don't
Yeah.
like bring that up right out front. I won't go into detail on it, but I'll say, hey, like, I've been doing this since middle school. So you figure if I was 12, 13 years old at the time, 37, I'll be 38 now. I've got a lot of years in that room or in a weight room,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I said I've competed at a pretty high level for almost a decade. So I have a lot of experience in it. So, I have an idea of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not, certified in anything or this and that, but I think real world experience is something that is you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How is like your strength training? Has that helped you at all with you doing varsity football? Is it coordinating? That's what you're doing.
I think the mindset behind it does, and that's one thing I
Yeah.
really try to instill in the athletes is, not every day is going to be a good day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But coming in and
Important.
having a weak lift or one that's not as great is better than no lift.
Yeah, exactly.
And I try to preach attendance and how important that is. And I even show at the end of the semester. So we started using this app a couple of years ago. It's called Platform. It's like PLT4M.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure all these colleges use these like apps that are personalized for their athletes, and that's how they program everything. Well, we found this one, and once my kid was born, I kind of talked to the head coach at the time, and I was like, hey man, like, I'm not gonna be here every day in the summer to write on the whiteboard, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just like I gotta have family time. We're gonna be doing trips and this and that. He's gonna get sick. So someone I knew was using it, and I kind of looked into it, and it's basically like all the kids make a profile, and when I put their workouts in, it's like percentage based, so it customizes everything to them. And what that does is it allows me to track everything. It's time lifted, it's weight lifted, you know, uh, successful lifts, failed lifts, whatever it is. There's a notes section where they can take notes like, hey, I did, bicep curls and I used the 30s last time. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And I tell them, I go, check your notes. So that next time, even if you go up 2.5 pounds or you go up 5 pounds, it's still growth,
Yeah.
and I think that using that now, what I can do is I am able to, at the end, they have a report section, so I can print out the reports, and I can, I basically say, like, guys, I've been doing this with this app for X amount of years now, and I can tell you there's a direct correlation to attendance and growth. Like, it is what it is. Like, when you are here, you're going to get stronger. You remember how it is when you're in high school, like, you could lift horribly and you're going to get stronger.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's the
newbie gains. That's how it is. And, newbie gains,
Yep. And I think that the mindset of, like I said, with the training that I was doing, and, there's days where I'm like, man, I do not want to go and put, 600, 700, 800 pounds on my back. Like, I don't want to do that today. But you go in and you got to have this light switch in your head, and you have to be able to flip that switch. And then, I look at the percentage of the day. Like, all right, let's say it's an hour. Like, I see these kids for 45 minutes a day after changing and all that. I'm like, guys, 45 minutes is such a small percentage of your day. If you could just find that light switch to flip to get through it, you're never going to regret it, And, that's something that I think, what I say, I've been doing this 25 years now. I think I'm still using that switch. Like, all right, flip it, let's go,
Yeah, that's cool that app exists. I actually didn't know that existed. That would have been helpful to use.
It is great because it's got a bunch of preloaded. I got like 40 or 50 preloaded workouts. And so I've got a bunch of girls that come in class that really have no desire to strength train or, back squat. So they'll come in and they'll do like, they got like body weight boot camps. They have yoga, they have Pilates, they have, intro to strength programs. So it teaches the form. And what I like about it is there's a small video clip with every lift. So if they're like, oh, I don't know what this is, but they've done it 5 times before, but they forget what it was, they can just click it. Oh, yep, I know what that is. All right. And they just start doing it. It really helps me out because if I've got 40 in a class, there could be 10 or 12 of those cases at one time. And it just keeps moving, and then that allows me to walk around, and now I can just focus on form cues, relationships, and all that stuff as I'm going through. It really saves me time. So
yeah, that's amazing that they can just watch a video and just learn how to do it there.
Yep. I mean, I go through and teach it at the beginning. But it's a really good like refresher, like
Yeah.
it's a really good refresher to like, oh, I forgot, the difference between a bicep curl and a hammer curl. Well, now they can click it and be like, oh yeah, I've done that before. And then just,
Yeah, I've even like not with those lifts, but I've even had some lifts like I'm following a program. Like, what is it? Like I gotta look it up still. So
jump on Google.
that
Yep.
helps a lot. Yeah.
And everyone's, and everyone's like reinventing the same lift, but they're putting their own
I
name
know.
on it. So you're like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, I do know what this lift is.
Yeah, but you hit it like an 80, you said 805 squat,
hmm
457 bench, and 705 deadlift. That's great, man. That's awesome. How long did it take you? Was it like your whole powerlifting career to work up to that? Was that like the last time you did a powerlifting meet, or was that back when you more started?
So when I first started, I mean, I was probably like 600 deadlift. My bench was about under 400. And then my
Okay.
squat, because I was going bare knee squats, I was like mid
Uh-huh.
fives. Um,
Okay.
and then as I started actually powerlifting training and learning how to build a program and then collaborating with Kevin, we would collaborate on a lot of programs, or he'd build one. He'd be like, hey, we're going to run this for 12 weeks and we're going to see if it sucks or not. And then he's really good about, taking notes and like, hey, and then the next time he goes through, he's like, I remember on week 5, I felt horrible and
Yeah.
something's got to change here. So we're going to throw a deload in here or something, and we would,
Mm-hmm.
and, we would collaborate a lot through all the years on that. So as I learned how to program, the numbers just shot up. And
Wow.
I've always had pretty naturally like good squat form. Like I've just had like
Mm-hmm.
great hips. I probably attributed just being an athlete back in the day.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so my squat was always something that was my number one thing. Like that was what I just kind of hung my hat on. I always had issues with grip in the deadlift. I don't know what
Mm.
it was. I've done, strapless training. I've done heavy holds. I've done plate pinches. I mean, I've done every grip strength thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was. I mean, I very weird. I don't know. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
weird thing. So there was times where in training, I would pull 750, hold it, set it down, and then there was times I'd hit like 720, and then I'd get in the meet like 675 would be like creeping out of my fingers, and I'm like, what is going on, So my deadlift was the slowest one over time.
Mm-hmm.
I probably went from like over those years 575 to that 705,
Oh wow.
720, whatever it was. Now my squat jumped, and obviously I eventually added in sleeves and wraps and everything. But the problem is you're never satisfied. You know what I mean? Like you hit your
Mm-hmm.
225, you were probably like, all right,
Oh
what's
yeah.
next? You know what I mean? Like what's next? And I think that was a big point for me too was, um, that last meet I did, I linked up with my buddy. I don't know if you've heard of Ben Pauli. He's up at Rochester
Ben
Performance
Paul.
Gym. He's,
I'm
he's,
not sure.
he's big time. I went to college with him. He's awesome. He really got into strongman and he went into powerlifting. And he's one of the number one coaches in the country right now.
Oh wow.
He's been on
Yeah.
he's been on Dave Tate's podcast twice now. So
Oh wow. I'll have to talk to
yeah,
him.
I can link you up with him. So let me know. I can get you up
Yeah,
with him. So
for sure.
he's a maniac, but I love the guy today. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met. But him and I linked up at a meet because we were at Rochester Performance Gym, and he's like, "Bro, you gotta let me program you for the next meet." Like, all right, and he's like full conjugate, like I had
Mm-hmm.
never trained conjugate before, so I'm like, and at this point I was kind of getting like, bored. I'm like, all right, squat bench deadlift, squat bench deadlift. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
hamstrings are a little weak. Let's do this, and it's part of the process, but over time it becomes like not going through the motions, but you just kind of feel like you are.
Yeah.
So when I started his conjugate training, I mean, it was like completely different. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
very overwhelmed at first because it would be, in 2 weeks I do 3 or 4 different squats and none of them were straight barbell squats.
Oh, okay.
It'd be like, I need you to do a max effort box squat with a safety squat bar with 180 pounds in chains. And that would be one, and then the next would
Yeah.
be like reverse band, cambered bar, like, and fortunately Kevin had all the equipment I needed, and it was just, but it made it fun. Like I had a blast. Like,
Yeah.
I went in and I was looking at the program and, oh, this is going to be fun. All right, I get to try something new. I've never done this type of squat. I want to see what I can do, you know? I mean, there was a point where I had 700 pounds on the bar, straight weight, and then I had 180 chains on it. And, and I was like, this might hurt, but, you know, I just got to push through because at the bottom it's 700, but then it gets real heavy real quick on the way up, you know?
Yeah.
So I went through and I was, you know, doing all that. And I knew I was like, hey, man, I'm like, dude, I want to squat 800. Like that was the thing that I wanted. Like, I always kind of hung my head on my squat. And I'm like, I want to squat 800. That's the number I want, you know? So 2-3 months before the meet, he's like, hey, come up here, do a squat session with us. And he just started throwing plates on. Next thing you know, there's 800 pounds on the bar. And he's like, you're hitting this today. And I'm like, all right, I guess I am. And like, now this is a pretty hardcore gym. Like there's a lot, it's powerlifting based, you know?
Yeah.
And there was probably like, you know, 15, 20 people there and they all stopped and they're looking and I'm like, oh, I got to hit this now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually smoked it that day. And he's like, I told you. He's like, I told you I could do it. Or he's like, I told you you could do it. And I was like, all right, now I just got to hit it in the meet, you know? Because it doesn't count if it's in the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
so continued through the training, took a deload, continued through the training. And, you know, I got to the meet. And at this point in my lifting career, I had started a different way of approaching my attempts. Because one of the reasons was I thought when I got to the deadlifts, I thought I was gassed. And that was part of the reason I was struggling. So I was like, I'm just going to do 2 attempts. Like, I'm only competing once or twice a year. My first attempt will be just shy of, you know, whatever I did before. Let's say my last meet I did, I think the meet before that I did like 770 or something.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go 740, and then I'm just jumping right to it. I'm going 805 next one. Because I think kilos wise, I think it's like 799 or 790.
Yeah.
No one wants to squat that. So like, I'm going over 800, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't even go 8. I went to 804.5 or something. So I'm like, I'm just going to hit on the second attempt. And I went and he wanted me to go 830 on the third. And I'm like, listen, man, like I came for what I got for. I made it out of this injury free. Like, let's move on to the bench, you know? So hit the 805, squatted, deadlifted. And then like, you know, we go to the restaurant, we have some beers after, and I'm sitting there and we're talking and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, immediately I thought like, all right, what's next? You know, and I'm like, I've had my mind on this squat for like 2 years and I didn't even get a chance to enjoy it for more than like 2 hours, you know?
Yeah, man.
And I think that was part of it too. Like I talked about that perfect storm earlier. I'm like, it gets to a point to where, you know, you're just never satisfied. You're always looking at that next thing. And it's like, where does that end? And it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it really doesn't. It's like, all right, you figure how many people in the world have ever squatted an 805. If you look at general population,
yeah,
it's 0.1% or something probably. So I can be happy with that, right? I can be satisfied with that. And then I got to, I've been doing this for so long, I got to the point where I was in that fork in the road where it was like, I've been drug free for this amount of time and I have maxed out pretty much my potential in there. And then it's like, do I hit this path where I'm taking years off my life and being extremely unhealthy? And now I'm aiming at that 2,300 and trying to compete with those guys, or 22 plus, whatever it ended up being. Or am I just like, hey, I'm good. I've been doing this 8 years. I'm injury free. I feel great. I'm everything's good, because I did all this. I did all this and made it out without any really serious injuries.
That's great.
I mean, I've never torn anything, never popped anything, nothing, and that was something that I was very smart about that. And at that point I had that fork in the road and, I went and I'm like, all right, it's probably time to hang it up because otherwise this is going to be another 10 years of knocking 20 years off my life because once you hit that level, you just keep going. You know what I mean? There's no stopping that. So
yeah, you can only hit so much naturally. And just like you just said, we say it all the time on the podcast too. And I've always said, like, you're always like progressing and you're never satisfied. Like that's just how it is. And you never will be. It's just always going to be, oh, I can do more. I can do more. I can do more. And so at a point, that can be dangerous. You can only do so much as a natural. So yeah, I've never seen anybody hit 805 in person. We went to there's this big event in South Carolina that I went to a couple months ago. called Summer Strong,
Mm-hmm.
Serenic Summer Strong. I don't know if you know what Serenics is. They make like a
Yeah.
lot of
Oh
equipment
yeah.
and stuff. So they have this thing every year in May. It's called Summer Strong, and all these coaches go and just anybody that's interested. But it's like conferences and lifting competitions and stuff. So I saw somebody squat like 700 pounds. That was the most I've ever seen somebody do in person, which we had him on at last episode before this one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just insane too, just to see that and how much work is put in, especially being natural. Like
Yeah.
that's insane. Because like for me, I would never think I could hit anything near that, and I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? You never know.
Yeah.
You can hit it naturally.
Yeah. You never know, and it's the time commitment's huge, because you figure I was
Yeah.
doing 3 days to 4 days a week. I'm doing like 2.5 hour plus sessions,
Yeah.
and it's just like, just because you got a crew and you got a spot for everyone, and this person's got 8 sets, you might only have 3, but you can't leave until they're all done because you got to be there for them,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to make sure
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're spotting them and helping them load and unload their plates like they did for you. And then, of course, you're BS and a lot of the time too. You're just hanging out with the guys, so it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of drags on, and then it gets to a point where it's like, now I'm 45 minutes to an hour. I'm in and out, and
Mm-hmm.
that allows me more time at home, obviously with family and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, the injury thing, I was very fortunate with that. Like, I think an eye opener I had too was my kid was born, and he was at the time like 7 or 8 pounds, and I had tweaked something on my shoulder, and I had him like on my chest like this, and I went to lift him, and I couldn't lift him off my chest. Like, my shoulder like wouldn't allow me to lift it. Like, and at that
Mm-hmm.
point, I was like, I never want to not be able to do anything with him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
due to something, for what? I'm not making money doing this. I'm spending a ton of money to do it. It's like, I'm not sponsored. So
Yeah.
it got to that point. There's a lot of things that came up, and I don't really regret anything. The only thing I regret is I wish I would have hit 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could have done that naturally. I mean, it would have had to been like perfectly go through it. Um,
Yeah.
but I can't really look back and regret. I had a lot of met a lot of great people, lifelong friends, and definitely enjoyed my time doing it.
Yeah. And it's great that you didn't have any like serious
Yeah,
injuries.
yeah,
That's something I think about. Like I enjoy powerlifting a lot, but there's been a few times where I tweak something. I'm like, man, is it like, should I just do like bodybuilding? Like, so it's not as, strenuous. Like I
hmm
still, I talk about it a lot, but my lower back is kind of messed up a little bit
hmm
from a deadlift. It wasn't even bad form. It was just, it's been a while since I did it. And then I did one too heavy.
hmm
And then so my lower back still kind of hurts from like over a year ago. So it's
yeah.
been a while.
Is it is it in the
But
disc? Like, is it in the disc area or?
they, I haven't gotten like a scan, but going to the doctor and physical therapist, they say it's like probably disc issue. But I don't have any like shooting pains. It's just lower back, like when I arch back. So I don't know. It's something I deal with still. Hopefully it goes away one day. I
Yeah,
don't know. But I do notice when I squat, I think it gets worse. So it's got to be a disc thing because, your back, when you go down low enough,
hmm
it does a rounds a little bit like by your
yeah,
like bottom, like it just rounds a little bit. So I've seen that can affect that
hmm
negatively. So yeah, it's hard. It sucks because I like squatting a lot and I still do it every once in a while, but I have to stick to like hack squats
yeah,
or more leg stuff. But
yeah.
it's dangerous. So I mean, it is like injuries suck. I've tweaked my chest before on
Mhm.
benching, and that sucks because you can just feel that all the time.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one thing. Like, when I always felt, if I felt a tweak or if I felt something that wasn't right or it was kind of like out of the ordinary, and obviously injuries can come out at any time. You could feel great and something happens,
yeah,
And but if I felt something wasn't right or I knew like maybe I was a little bit more dehydrated than normal, like I would just dial it back. Like, I
mm-hmm.
always told myself it's one training session. You know, like I had uh, like a quad flare up. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
serious, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to squat for like 4 weeks. Like,
Yeah,
and I just took it off, and I came back, and I felt great. And the rest
mm-hmm.
probably did more, better than anything. So yeah, I actually
Yeah,
took a little bit of time off and recovered, and that probably
mm-hmm.
helped a lot. But yeah,
Yeah,
I just, especially now, you just got to be smart about it. And that's one thing I try to
yeah,
tell these young guys too is, I'm like, guys, like, no no one's gonna ever care or remember what you lifted in high school.
Yeah. Yes.
Like they'll be, oh yeah, he was strong, but no one's gonna remember the numbers. Just train, be smart. Like this is a lifelong thing, and you're in the very early
Yeah.
years of it. You don't want to do something that's going to be detrimental for the rest of your life. What?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when I have these kids deadlift, it's a lot of hex, it's a lot of trap bar. It's all trap bar, just because it's
Okay.
the easiest way to get in that squat form with a neutral
Mm-hmm.
spine. Any straight bar just
Yep.
immediately
It's
rounds over and
That's all about form, man. I mean,
Mhm.
deadlifts, they are dangerous. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just the way it is, but it is all about form, especially like with high schoolers, they're going to have that ego.
Mhm.
They're going to lift heavy and
Yep.
impress other people, so
Yeah.
that makes
And it's
sense.
amongst their friends too. They're egging each other on. Like, turn your back for a second, you look back, and someone's just getting pinned on bench when they're supposed to be doing like sets of five, and you're like, what happened? Like, oh, so told me to do it. I'm like, well, you
Yeah.
just set yourself back now. Like,
I don't know, you're all fatigued. It's
yeah,
like, oh, come on.
yeah.
What are you training now? Like, what's your training regimen?
So I went through like a weird, like when I stopped powerlifting. Again, I had all that stuff going on. I was kind of in like a slump after like my mom had passed, and I was really like my mind. I she was only 63, so I had this like thing where
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
time is short. Like this
Yeah.
family time is short, and I was really, really set on spending time with my kid. And even at his newborn age, and my wife and I had talked, and we were pretty set on being one and done. Like we wanted one kid, just because of our lives with me and coaching. And she's an elementary teacher, and
Mm-hmm.
it's exhausting to begin with, and
Yeah.
coming home to a house full of kids just seemed like a lot of work. So
You're already at work with a lot of kids, so
exactly, your brain needs to shut off at some point. So
yeah.
now with him, it was like I don't want to miss anything. Like I want to be there as much as possible. And so my training took a huge step back. Like over COVID, I built a garage gym. I still have it. Um, and at the time, like I was extremely motivated because that's all I had, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the gym started opening back up and all this stuff, I was like, all right. And then I went into like a weird slump where it was like 2 days a week of just like garbage lifting. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I just
just like
couldn't,
maintaining
yeah, I just
almost.
couldn't find it. Like I couldn't find that spark. So we built a new gym at the school. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go in the morning and I'm going to train at school. There's a nice shower down by the pool. I'm like, I'll jump in the shower, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll go to work. And then at the end of the day and at the end of practice, I don't have to think about anything. I come home, I spend time with
Yeah.
family. Because you think if my practice gets done at 6 and then I go to the gym and I'm home at 7:30, at the time he was going to bed at 8:30. So I'm
Mm.
getting like less than an hour with my kid every day. Like that wasn't appealing to me.
Yeah.
Um, so then I'm at school. That went well for like a football season. Tried it after football season, and I got to this point in my brain where I was like, I have to get away. Like when I'm at home, I'm still at home, you know,
Yeah,
and
dude.
and a kid's crawling on me or he's outside running around distracting me. And when I'm at school, I'm thinking about work. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to. I talked to my wife about it. And I told her it was actually at the beginning of this year, and I go, I have to be able to disconnect. Like I just need an hour where I can just put my headphones in, go to the gym, zone out. Phone stays in the pocket, zone out, and just get it done, and then come home. And
Yeah.
the last, now what, we're in July, so the last 7 months have just been great. And
Oh, wow.
I started, I started going to LA, which isn't like ideally where I'd like to be.
Yeah.
It's not really like my kind of lifting crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to be at RTB. That's where I really want.
Oh, yeah, I love
Yeah.
RTB. I go there all the time.
Yep. So I was there when it was Lincoln Park Powerhouse, and then I was there when it reopened. But I'm down in Trenton now, and that's kind of a haul.
Yeah.
Like that's like a 30-minute round trip for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm only lifting 45. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I think what I'm going to do, since I recently retired from track, I think what I'm going to do is after football this year, I think I'll re up there and then just shoot down 75 and get down there. But
Yeah.
I've just been going back to, I was in a little bit of a void of like, I got to get better at my longevity. You know what I mean? Like, I can't
Yeah.
just be, at the time when I was competing, I was like 300 to 310. I barely tied my shoes. I was just like walking around like this, and
Yeah.
everything was great because the numbers were good. But the functionality of it was just not there, like it was just not there, So now it's like, all right, what can I do for longevity? And then there's this weird period where it's like, it's not necessarily like a body dysmorphia. It's like a strength dysmorphia, where
Yeah.
it's like, all right, I lost 20 pounds. I'm feeling great. Let me start repping out 225. I get to like 9 and I'm like, oh my, like I used to be able to hit this for like 30,
Yeah.
and I just started eating and get strong again, and that was like a cycle I went through for like a year. And then finally, I think it was like this year where I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. You're getting older. You can lose some of the strength, be a little bit healthier, eat better. And, I've, in the last year, I've lost like 30 pounds. I'd like to get down another 30. But recently, I've just been kind of just doing the basic bro split,
Yeah.
I've really gotten away. I used to do, like most people, like the Monday through Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really tried to just get into like that no week rotation. You know what I mean? Where it's like, try to get 4 days in the week whenever I can,
Yeah.
And if I lift 2 days, that third day I'm taking off just for rep.
Okay.
And then, so there might be there might be weeks where it's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It all depends on my schedule and what I got going on. And, football, we got 7-on-7s. We got this and that going on. So just trying to like, not to break out of that, like I have to be there on these days and just get it in. And then, just doing something every day. I'm trying to, I love riding my bike. I bought a really nice bike. It's just like a cruiser. It's like a Cadillac, and I'll rip around Trenton. They got nice trails through Trenton, go on walks, all that stuff. Like, I'm trying to do something every day. And this summer, my goal, especially this month, is I really want to start getting into some type of like yoga mobility, just to be able to move a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just to get a little more flexible, kind of get that aspect probably where it should.
Yeah. Training too, like, especially with powerlifting, diet's not even like no one follows a diet. It feels like it's just like, get your protein in, get your calories in, you're getting bigger, you're getting stronger. So, I do oftentimes, like even when I started doing stuff like that and I was, I gained a lot of weight. I was like a really skinny kid in high school. And, it works, but then you do start to think about that longevity and like, is this really healthy for me? Like, yes, I can lift strong and it's awesome, but is it healthy in the long run? It's really not.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've always gone back and forth. I'm like, I just want to eat whatever, get heavy. And then I'm like, no, I got to eat a little bit healthier, watch it and lose some strength, but it sucks losing strength. I mean, I get it.
It does.
And
it was really hard for me because that was my identity. Like, that's what I was.
Yeah.
That's who I was. Like, I was known as like, you walk in, you're the strongest guy in the room. You're the biggest, strongest guy in the room 99% of the time. And then, when I started losing that, that I struggled with that. I mentally struggled with that. And that was for a while. And then finally, like I said, that I just kind of was like, all right, let's just cool down, relax. And I think part of it too, I was trying to crash diet a lot. I was like, hey, I'm just going to dive right into this super heavy diet. And, 3 months in, all the wheels fell off,
Yeah.
I think slowing it down and really just taking the long haul with, like I said, it was 30 pounds over a year. Like, that's not fast at all.
No.
So, and it's ups and downs. And, now my goal again is now I'd like another 20, 25 going through this year. I think I'd be, if I could sit in that 240, 250 range, I think I'd be really comfortable there. So,
I think it's important to enjoy eating. Like, you can go out to eat. You don't have to be on the super strict diet. I think sometimes strict diets can mess you up. You change it up once and your body's not used to it, you're done. So I get that. And like, I think it's just eating, just watch what you eat. Do you track everything like on MyFitnessPal and stuff?
So I was using Lose It because I got
okay.
It's like Black Friday. It was like lifetime membership for $40.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
okay,
I don't got to pay a monthly anymore. So I got that. And, when I do fall off a little bit, I will jump back on just to recalibrate my brain. And like, all right, this is what you should be eating. This is how much you should be eating. This is how you should feel. And kind of go from there. I think the main thing I do now is I plan ahead. Like for instance, like, hey, we're gonna let's say tomorrow night we're going to my favorite steakhouse and I'm gonna get a prime rib. Okay, well, I know this prime rib is gonna be 1,500 calories.
Yeah.
So I'll have a really light lunch, maybe cut the afternoon snack, and I'll just make up those calories in the evening. When before it would just be like a massive surplus. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's a smaller surplus. And then I
Yeah.
started looking at things, which I was always looking at as a day. And this is back when I was still learning. I would look at it day by day. So it was like win, fail, win, fail, win, fail. And then when you have those
Mm-hmm.
fails, if you have like two fails in a row, like two bad days in a row, your brain is like, well, might as well just give up. But if I started looking at it as a week, like a total caloric intake for a week, so it's like, hey, my Saturdays and Sundays are high, but I was in a 450 calorie deficit Monday through Friday. So it actually balanced
Yeah.
out throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
Cut back on drinking a
Yeah.
lot. Not that I was ever a big drinker, but like just random beers at dinner, like
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need this. What's the point of it? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
Yeah.
there's no point of that anymore. So,
Yeah.
and obviously the older you get, the more it hurts the next day. So,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a big thing too. Is like, a lot of people don't realize that drinking it does cause you to have a lot of excess weight, and it's usually high calories and it's carbs and
yep.
everything. So, I know many people that have cut out drinking and they lose weight like crazy,
Yeah.
and they haven't really changed anything other than not drinking.
Yeah. And the
So,
research that's coming out on it lately is, and I think part of it is that it's a little bit trendy to talk about now too. You
yeah,
know how that stuff is. One person does a study, next thing everyone's going to start talking about it. But the research coming out about what it actually does is it's pretty eye opening. And I have a lot of friends
yeah.
my age, mid late 30s, that have gone sober like completely, and
Hmm.
and they're like, my life has completely changed since that. And it's great,
Yeah.
and I commend them for that. And
Hmm.
people go through phases. I mean, everyone in their 20s, they're living it up and this and that. Most people are.
Yeah.
I'm like, I lived those days. I went to college, I had a good time, and now it's like, again, the longevity thing. Like, what am I doing to
Yeah.
kind of extend my, you know, health? I want to be
Hmm.
able to move. Like, my dad's 70, or he's 69 this year. He just started going to the gym this year, first time.
Wow.
And he's got this like 55 and older class 3 days a week. And he's like, I wish I would have done this earlier. He's like, I feel great. And he's like,
That's
and
awesome.
he's tracking things. He's like, all right. He's like, I did this many meters on the rower last time. I'm aiming for 10 more this time. And he gets it,
There you go.
So it's
That's
cool to
awesome.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't drink at all, so I
Yeah.
I've never gotten into it. I've throughout high school and everything, I've never been a partier. I wasn't like someone to hang around a bunch of people at
Mhm.
once. So it was kind of easy for me because I never really started and I don't plan to. I just see, I don't think there's any really positivity to it, especially if you're trying to lift,
Exactly.
if that's like your lifestyle. So no, that's good. Yeah, a lot of people cut that out, and I
Hmm.
see a big difference.
Yep. The weakest
Yeah,
muscles are dehydrated muscles. And that's what it
yeah,
does. I mean, it's,
that's all it does.
yeah. And my biggest, the best I've ever looked, and the strongest I ever was when I was minimally, and it
Yeah,
was minimal drinking. And like I said, I had my years in college where I had a great time, and I had beers and went out to the bars and all that. Now it's like, I mean, I might have like two drinks a week, maybe, and
yeah,
like 4th of July weekend or this and that, have a couple more, but it's not like
yeah.
before where it was like 3-4 days a week. You're just, even if it's just
Hmm.
socially, because
Yeah,
that takes a toll. It takes a toll on everything. So,
yeah. A lot of people just they have it every day with dinner or something or
yep.
any social event. It's just
Mhm.
it's so normalized now, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna knock it because I know a lot of people do it, and
Yeah.
but it is funny how it's normalized when it's like technically it is like poisoning you. Like that's what it
It
is.
is. It's
So
poison. Yeah.
yeah,
And it is. It's
yeah,
wild how many, you drive around in liquor stores and bars, and they're everywhere.
yeah,
It's and it's part of
yeah.
the culture too, obviously. That's the
Hmm.
biggest problem, is what is American culture? It's food and alcohol usually,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's never really surrounding with good food.
No. Yeah, true. True. I think that's something too I wanted to get into.
Mhm.
With like social media and the fitness, community, I think, well, in the aspect of drinking and learning more things about it, like why it's a negative, that's probably a positive aspect of it. But what have you seen, especially with coaching, students and everything? with social media influence. Say a kid's like, "Oh, I saw this." Like, what's your take on that?
I'm glad you brought this up because this is on my mind as a topic as well. Because,
Okay.
um, you know, social media, especially like Instagram,
Yeah.
it's been like the greatest and worst thing that ever happened to like the fitness community. Because
Yeah.
the greatest thing is that so many people actually got into it and started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
really think that is a huge boom in um, younger people actually starting to lift or starting to care about their health or what they look like and all these
Mm-hmm.
things. Um, I think that obviously the biggest issue is one, um, most of it's extremely unrealistic.
Yeah.
I mean, these people that are influencers that these kids are seeing are posting themselves in their most unhealthy state. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so they'll do 3 photo shoots the week leading up to their show, and then for the next 9 months, those are the photos that they post. You
Yeah.
know, and these kids think, oh, these guys look like this year round. And
Mm-hmm.
no,
No.
or or the other side of it is like the whole like training aspect of it. They'll see LeBron James, one leg on a Bosu ball, catching a tennis ball while moving a hockey stick or something crazy, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
we can do that. And it's like, stand on the Bosu ball with one foot right now. And they can't do it. And I'm like, why would I add that in if you can't even do it without, And I'm like, you have to progress to these things. And a lot of it's so ridiculous too. But,
Yeah.
I think the main thing is um, the thing that worries me is that these young kids are going to start rushing to get to something that is really not attainable at that time,
Yeah.
especially naturally,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big problem is because, I've heard of young people in the area who have already started using anabolics
Mm-hmm.
in high school. And it's
Yeah.
like, and, that's probably always been around, but it's also something that, to me is just like, it's crazy, and it's
Yeah.
just like, that is something that, and they even say now, even with like TRT, like they say
Mm-hmm.
people who truly need TRT, not just like I'm running TRT, you know what I mean? Um, People who truly need it, like that's a lifetime commitment. You know what I mean? Like you
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to, and there are ways to kind of work your way back to a natural way of producing, but this is a step that people are taking at, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old that, um, it could be 40, 50 years of a commitment to this.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens along the way with that, and what I
Mm-hmm.
try to explain to these kids, I'm like, guys, your test levels right now are like more than double mine.
Yeah.
like, and like use that, what I mean? Like use that natural ability right now, use these newbie gains, keep growing with it, and just be patient. Like it's going to come. But I think the thing is they see the 1%,
Yeah.
and I had this problem when I competed, what I mean? Like I squatted the 805 and I'm like, yeah, but I'm like way down the list of all these
Mm-hmm.
guys. You know what I mean? And I had to think to myself, like, yeah, but this is like the top of the top,
Yeah.
So these kids are on social media following the top of the top, and they're thinking like, hey, this kid was 18 and he just benched 450 pounds. I
Mm-hmm.
can do that. It's like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's not rush to
Yes.
get there. Literally looking at the top of the top. Who knows if those are even real weights to begin with,
Yeah.
And it's kind of battling the supplement stuff. I get a lot of questions about, like, should I be taking creatine? Should I use pre-workout? Should I use this? And I'm like, these are just that's the main things that I'm fielding is just the pressures that they're feeling from these outside sources.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should be taking this, no matter what your
Yeah.
age is, and I'm like, guys, just eat. Like, how much food did you eat today? What'd you have for lunch? Exactly. Like, eat food. You're going to grow crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lot of what I'm battling, And I think the main thing too, if we're focusing on just like the football stuff, is they all want to bodybuild, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, guys, you have the rest of your life to bodybuild. But right now, we're trying to be the best athlete we can be for your 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And 98% of you, this is the only time you're ever going to play football. Like,
Yeah.
you know how it is. You can go play basketball whenever. You can do pickleball. Football, you can't just find pads in a game Yeah.
No.
So I'm like, make the most of it, be the best that you can be during this time, and then you can go and hit your bodybuilding stuff from 18 until whenever you want to.
Yeah.
But try to be an athlete, try to train like an
Yeah.
athlete, and I think that's a big thing too, is they all want to bodybuild. They're all worried about their image. They're all worried about this and that. And, that's a line I'm trying to walk with them too. So
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of the training to where I try to make it to, like on a Wednesday, the last set will be like, hey, 5 sets of your favorite bicep workouts or your favorite bicep exercise. Try to hit reps from 8 to 12, and I give them the ownership to like do what they want at that point. I think it helps a little bit,
Yeah.
but I think it is a struggle. I will say it is a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
but the flip side of it is when I go to LA Fitness, there's 12, 15 Carlson kids walking around there,
Yeah.
which 10 years ago, that probably wasn't the case,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yeah, I think that's awesome because that program really put them on that, and they found potentially found a passion. But I understand what you mean too with the social media, because I think a lot of people confuse their day one with someone else's day 1,000. You know what I mean? And you have no idea. This guy could have been training for 15 years, and he looks like that. You can't compare yourself in that. That's why it's important not to compare yourself. Just keep track of your own progress. And you'll progress. That's just and supplements, honestly, you literally don't need to take them. But everything in a supplement form you can get from food.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, the only supplement I take is creatine.
Yeah.
Just because I know you can naturally get it from like red meat, and your body naturally makes it, but it is hard to get that amount that you get in there. But honestly, protein powder, pre-workout, all these things, I just don't feel like you need half the time protein powder. It sucks. It's not even good protein for you. Your body will use, if you eat a chicken breast or a steak or even, like a burger or something, it's going to use that protein way more efficiently than some powder that was in a lab.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing is, it sounds like what you're doing is you're using it as it's supposed to be a supplement,
Yes.
You're supplementing, and that's like I have, I'll have a tub of pre-workout. What are those, like 30 servings, I think?
Yeah.
I mean, that'll last me 3 months because I'll only use it where it's like, hey, I need a little bit of kick in the ass right now. You know what I mean? Like I really, today's the day I really need it. But, obviously creatine monohydrate, I think that's a staple. But the whey protein, same thing. I'll buy a tub, and if it's like during football season, like right after school, before practice, I'll slam like a quick shake and like an apple or something, and that'll push me through. But that's not necessarily a time where I could have it's supplementing for a meal that I could be making or heating up, but I just don't have time for that. So it's like that's where it kind of comes in handy. But as far as the majority of my diet, like fortunately my wife's really, really into, fitness and exercising, and she works out more than I do. But, so our grocery bills are great. Like when we go out and get groceries, like we're very, especially with our kid too, like we're very particular about what he eats, like he might have like one sugar treat a week, even the popsicles he gets, they're all natural, like no sugar added popsicles, and he thinks they're great. And I'm like, that's because you haven't had the good stuff, and you don't need to know what the good stuff tastes like.
Yes.
So
yeah, I think that's important too. And obviously, like you said, you're using it as a supplement, which is what it's for. I think a lot of people rely on the powders too much.
Yeah.
And you can get some, I think like whey protein, if you have too much of that, you can get, especially with kids, like acne and things like that, you can get easier by taking that. So it's important to not rely on that. But, in the aspect of like, you guys with your kid, and that's an amazing thing that you're doing. He's going to be a healthier kid. I think nowadays a lot of kids they're like, child obesity is a big problem, and so I think that's really important to do that. And hopefully I'm hoping like that changes someday with, with what we put in kids' food. You know about like the grocery store thing where on the lower shelves they put all the high sugary stuff because kids can see that more. And like things like that, I mean, that's just
Yep.
crazy to even do that. Like the
Yeah.
cereals, the Captain Crunch, the Fruit Loops, like I don't understand that, but it's like normalized for kids to eat these sugary things, and I just don't
Yep.
get that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
trust me, this is like a very deep path we could go down, so we don't need to. But
Yeah.
I truly
Yeah.
believe, obviously, that a lot of this has to do with a lot of the stuff that we're seeing in young people, as far as
Mm-hmm.
like mental health issues and all this stuff too. I think it has a lot to do with the
Mm-hmm.
nutrition that they're getting, and
Absolutely.
we've
Yeah.
been we discovered that you know that Yuka app. Have you ever heard of that?
It sounds familiar.
So
I
there's
don't
two
know.
of them. There's like it's YUKA, and then there's another one where it's like Tom approved or something. And
Oh, it's Bobby approved. I
Bobby,
have that, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. So basically, what
Yeah.
you do is like, I mean, we scan everything, like anything. If he's like getting sick of his granola bars, like we go to the store and we'll scan all of them, and whatever the highest one is, that's what he's getting. Like we
Mm-hmm.
make sure. I mean, he's basically good to excellent rated on all the stuff that he eats, and even
Yeah.
tonight, like tonight we had like chicken skewers and broccoli, and he was just
Oh.
handfuls of broccoli throwing it down. He walks around
Yeah.
with like a cucumber, and he'll just eat like a cold cucumber, And these are things that it's
Mm-hmm.
like, if he was used to eating these sugary foods or something that was, um, more satisfying to him, that's what he would crave. But like, this is what he
Mm-hmm.
eats because he knows that this is what is available to him, and it's
Yeah.
not, and I'm not crazy, but I'm not like a lunatic about it. Like when we go out to eat, if he wants a burger and fries, he can get a cheeseburger and fries.
Yeah.
But like as far as like his everyday kind of thing that he's eating, like we're really trying to do that like 80-20-90-10, where the majority of what he's getting is, whole
Mm-hmm.
food, like real whole food for those reasons. So
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm happy to hear that you're doing that because I don't think a lot of people do that, and it's important, especially at that young age. They got their whole life ahead of them,
yeah,
and if you start them now with eating crappy, they're gonna potentially do that their whole life. Like even with me when I was in high school and everything, I would drink, pop here and there and stuff like that, and I haven't had pop since like 2023.
mm-hmm.
And so, I just drink water like
Yeah,
99% of the time. Sometimes I throw in a tea,
yep,
but it's like you don't realize how sweet those things are. And then say after a couple of years of me doing that and I have something super sweet, like a sweet tea or something, I'm like, oh, this is disgusting.
yeah, you
You
can't
don't
finish.
realize how you get used to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just can't finish it. I'm a room
No.
temperature water guy. Like, I don't even drink
No,
ice
me
water.
too, man.
I
I
just
am room temperature.
I mean, we have a Brita thing in the fridge, but like if it's room temperature, that's ideal. Like it's very,
Yeah.
to me, it's refreshing and it works. So, but yeah, that's, I'll get those like Gatorade Zero packets
Hmm.
every now and then if I need something, but most of the time, same thing.
Yeah.
It's just water. It's the best thing for you, obviously, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to push with him. Is he's got his little water bottle like we have, and he carries it
Hmm.
around like we do, and it's the habits.
Yeah.
Even so, my wife, she does she got like the Peloton app, but she does
Hmm.
all the strength classes through it, and
Oh, okay.
so she's got like all the dumbbell sets, and she does all that stuff, and it was cute. It was a couple weeks ago. I was like, where did Declan go? And we look out the window, and he's out back. He had set up the mat. He had brought out like the little 2.5 and 5 pound dumbbells, and he had his little fake iPhone that is like an iPhone 6 that doesn't work. That as a toy. He like propped it up like she does, and he was out there like moving the dumbbells around and doing push up and stuff. And I looked at her and I'm like,
That's amazing.
this is because he's watching you. Like you're setting the right example for him.
Yeah.
So he goes down and he'll try to do workouts with her, and he's going to be 4 in
Hmm.
August, and he's already trying that stuff. Like it's really cool to see.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so, I don't even have experience. I don't have a kid or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but, I think, setting that example for him at such a young age will
Yeah.
just, set him up for life.
Yep.
And that's amazing that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, he only
awesome.
gets an hour of screen time a day. Like 30 minutes before his nap, he gets a show, and 30 minutes
Hmm.
before bed, that's it. Like he doesn't have a tablet. He
Yeah.
doesn't do any of that stuff, which is a lot of work for us, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that forces us to get up and move and bike ride and go to the park and go to the zoo and all this stuff instead of just laying around. But on the other hand, that also gets us moving. So it ends up
Hmm.
being it's a good thing. It's going to be a good thing in the
Yeah.
long run. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I see so many kids with just an iPad,
yeah,
like they're just glued to it, and it's like no, like color in a coloring book.
Yep.
Don't color on the iPad. It's a difference.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, we've been to restaurants where he's had a rough day, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've gotten our food and like, we just need carry out boxes. Like, this isn't going to work today. And,
Yeah.
you know, I could pull out my phone and show him a show and settle him down, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I'd rather just,
Yeah.
all right, we're going to call this a failure. Let's, you know, because then the next time he's going to want that.
Yeah.
I want to watch a show on your phone. Like, no. And I got to
Let
battle
me
that.
play a game on your phone. Yeah.
So, he's learned how to behave at restaurants and everything. And again, it's just because he has to sit and have conversation, or he has to bring a couple toys, and
Yeah.
those are the habits. And hopefully try to change one, you know, this young one here, try to get him to grow up and set an example for others.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be hard too with, you know, I don't know about elementary schools, but man, the schools are just all laptops now.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
You know, I don't love that decision, but I understand everything is electronic, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have any knowledge of that with kindergarten or elementary school. Are they on laptops?
Yeah, so they have Chromebooks or iPads. You know, as far as elementary, I don't know necessarily what they're doing with them. My wife teaches elementary. She probably knows more than I do, but you know, I'll admit they're an option in the high school. We don't have to use them, obviously, for like grading purposes and everything, but you know, I'll admit that I'm someone who's guilty of it because it is easier. Like, it is way easier for me to jump on and grade papers with two screens where I can just click, go, click, go, you know, rather than finding a stack of papers, you know, hey, I turned this in on time. Well, the digital version says that you turned it in at this time. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that make it a lot easier. And, you know, yeah, it is detrimental in ways to the kids, obviously. But you know, from a teacher standpoint, it makes our lives easier, you know, in a lot of ways. But obviously, like, there's a lot of projects and things, but you know, like AI is something that we've really embraced, which is actually pretty cool. You know, we kind of, as a building in a district, we said, like, this isn't going anywhere. So if we push back, we're just going to get overrun. You know, so I've really found some interesting ways to implement it into my classes. So, for instance, strength classes. So I can make a custom chat bot. Okay. So what I can do is what I did was I said, you are you're a fitness expert, and I'm telling the chat bot what he is. I go, you're a fitness expert, and you are creating a 3-day, because we only live 3 days in the class, a 3-day workout with a max of 45 minutes for a teenager. Here's the equipment you have, and I list every piece of equipment that we have in the gym, in the weight room at the school, and then I say, you need to ask them this, this, and this. So then all these kids, they get this link, and they get a custom chat bot, and this will actually build a 3-day workout that is customized for them on their personal goals, you know, and then they can adjust it and be like, hey, it'll say like, hey, it has you doing lunges. Oh, well, lunges hurts my knees. Okay, well, substitute lunges, and then it'll redo it without lunges in it.
Wow.
And then even in the health class before, I remember the nutrition project. It was like, here's 2,500 calories. You know, make sure 80% is this, 20% is this. You get your protein, all this stuff. It's the same amount of calories. And then there was no dietary restrictions or allergies or anything. I can do the same thing. Now I can do it with nutrition. So I can have that chat bot create an ideal meal plan for each individual based on age, height, weight, gender, activity level, dietary preferences, and it'll spit it all out to them. And then they'll look and be like, I don't like broccoli. And you just type in like, take broccoli out, and they'll just like redo it. And they'll put a different green in they do like. It's crazy, but it's cool because now it's allowing a lot more, you know, like kids are going, oh my, I didn't realize I needed to eat this much. And I didn't realize I wasn't eating this much, you know? And then I go, how about this? How about you type in, you know, I'll have a kid do it, and I'll be like, you're a football player. Why don't you type in, adjust this for, you know, me being an athlete in football season, and then watch the calories jump. And they're like, whoa, like, I didn't realize I needed to eat this much. And I'm like, see, like, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's, you know, using it as a tool too.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think it should be used for, not to replace things. Do you know what Google Notebook LM is? Do you know what that is?
I've never heard of that.
And this could be useful, I think, even for your class. Say that you have 3 videos of like something that tackles nutrition, weightlifting, and football. Just say that you could take those video links, you put them in Notebook LM, and you can even take articles, put them in there, and then you can generate it, and it'll give you a brief summary of everything you put in there, and it also generates an AI podcast of them talking about all the important things from those videos or whatever you put in there. So students can listen to this 15-minute podcast about 3 YouTube videos that you wanted them to watch, and they'll still get all the information, but in podcast so they could be driving or whatever, working out and listening to it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen a couple of those. Because we've gotten some teacher training on it too. There's a couple where you can like find an article and then you click it and then it'll turn it into a PowerPoint for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and obviously you got to go through and make your own adjustments to it and stuff like that. But it does cut so much time off. I was actually talking to Mr. Butson about it because he does the photos and stuff. He told me that he used to have to with Adobe or whatever he uses. He'd go through, he'd edit a photo, 15, 20 minutes. And then he'd go to the next one and he'd have to redo all the settings again. And now with AI, once he sets, let's just say it's headshots of football players on a black sheet background. Once he sets the first photo, he can have AI transmit it to all the other ones.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a fraction of the time, and obviously he goes through and he does his own adjustments at the end of it. But he said it's saving him hours of work.
Yeah, for like color grading and everything.
Yep.
And I use it too. I do like photo shoots all the time. That's like some of my side gig I do. I do photo shoots. I've done weddings. I've done model shoots. And you have thousands of photos sometimes. And it's just like, 200 of these are outside in the same location. I want the same edits on them.
Yep.
So I use it too.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Time's money, man. You know how it is.
Yeah. Mr. Sweany, thank you for coming on the show. Before I end it, is there any like last things you want to say, any words of wisdom to anybody watching?
Kind of piggyback on what I said earlier, just patience and trust it. I think the main thing is people are trying to do too much too quick and trying to be something that, like you said, is, would you say day 10,000 and they're on day 1? I think the patience thing, being smart about it, considering the longevity of it, which is really hard to do with young people because they're not thinking that far ahead. But someone who's been doing it for 25 years and competed for almost a decade, there's ways to go about it, and just being smart about it, taking your time, being patient, understanding that a 5-pound PR is still a PR, even if it's not what you wanted, and just trusting the process and staying healthy and doing it to add years to your life rather than subtract. I think that's the most important thing, is that the patience and looking at the longevity of it, because this is a life, how it is. I mean, you're going to be doing this the rest of your life now, and that. Yeah. This is something that, like I said, my dad's almost 70 and he just started, but he started, and it's going to extend his life, and that's a good thing. So I think that's the most important thing,
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Sweany. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Nice seeing you again, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. And congrats on the podcast. It's pretty cool. I've been watching.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
It's awesome. I really like it. So
I appreciate it. Great conversation with Drew Sweany. Even touching on the topic with his powerlifting and his background in that and how it's kind of influenced and helped him with training kids in the weightlifting class. Even talking about, why it's important to have kids be healthy starting from a young age and, guiding them with that path throughout their life. I really appreciate him coming on the show, and it was great talking to you again. All right, I'm going to try this out again. It's probably dead, the smelling salt, but we'll see. I don't know, it's something. A little bit of something there, but thanks guys for watching. We appreciate all of you, and sorry it's just me today. Devin wasn't available, but thanks for watching again, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.